Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. So we are still in the post-season 2 patch throes, I guess you could say. There's still so much to discover. There's still so much on the table. The game has changed in some pretty big ways. And in today's video, we're talking specifically about Goldlewis. Because Goldlewis's changes, both specifically to him, what is now allowed, and the universal changes as well help a lot. It might actually put him out a low tier now. He might be a mid-tier character. We'll wait and see how it all shakes out, right? But Goldlewis, his strengths are now, well, stronger. His weaknesses, well, they're basically exactly the same. So don't expect him to win matches he wasn't going to win already. But in the matches where he can, like, survive and do his thing, I think he's going to do much better yet. So, well, hey, let's talk about it. So now let's talk the universal change, the dash cancel, right? So off a kick or just off any close slash, everyone can dash cancel unless you're Potemkin or Goryuki. It sucks for them, right? But it's a big deal for Goldlewis in a multitude of ways, not the least of which is, one, it makes his offense better, just in general, and it lets him get hits in situations where he otherwise could not get hits. So going back a whiles now, there was the change to Faultless Defense. So as it was before, Faultless Defense just didn't work on moves that were guard breaks, right? So that's any Behemoth Typhoon, Garuda for Potemkin, that kind of stuff. So it was changed so it would have the pushback effect. And this was mostly intentionally meant to kind of curtail Potemkin, I think. And it had basically zero effect on him because he could do Kara Garudas, right? Like, he could move forward while doing it. Like, it didn't actually matter to him at all, but it did affect Goldlewis a bit. Like, say this situation here, close slash, right? And from here, I'm going to force the 50-50 on you. Am I going to go overhead or am I going to go for the low, right? And fair enough, but the thing is, once you're holding your Faultless Defense, I can still get the overhead, but now if you're holding Faultless Defense, I'm pushed too far out for the low. So it kind of really took the teeth out of stuff like that, right? And now, thanks to our dash cancel changes, not really a worry anymore. So you are allowed to cancel the startup of your dash into any special move. And for Goldlewis, that just little bit of forward momentum means now that works again, right? So once again here, this is that setup here with them holding Faultless Defense. I miss my low. But if I do my dash cancel, I can still just move forward and get it in time, basically. So it's both complicated and not complicated. If you want to do this technique, I I could not suggest more. Please use the dash macro to put dash on a button, as this makes everything 1,000 times easier versus like having to hit forward and then moving your stick all around to get Behemoth Typhoons, right? And the secret to this, it is timing based, but make sure you let that dash happen, because if you do everything as fast as possible before you can even get your dash out, you'll cancel that buffer and go into Behemoth Typhoon. So what you want to do is do whatever move, it doesn't matter as long as it's dash cancelable. Hit dash immediately, let it breathe for a split second, and then go into whatever Behemoth Typhoon of your choice. So you can see my inputs here. I'm just kind of doing the button tapping and then just going for the motion. It's something you're probably going to have to practice a little bit, but it's a big deal. For the majority of what you want to do, it doesn't actually even change any timing. Like, if I just rock this into down to forward up Typhoon, it's a natural combo. And if I do the dash cancel version, it's still a natural combo, right? So it works out either way. And say you're trying to do this in the corner, because it's a really good way to set up corner stuff, right? Okay, with that, I'm pushed back this far. And using the dash cancel version, I'm still pushed out, admittedly, right? But it's not quite as far. It's about a full step compared to where it was before. You're just a little bit closer. So it lets you stay on top of people. Now, also other additional uses. Stuff like Goldlewis's stand kick here, right? It actually has a very specific use in that when he does the sumo stomp kick here, he actually has no hitbox, or rather has no hurtbox when he's doing the kick. So moves that are like Kai's down slash here, for the most part, you get to counter poke him for free. So you're going like, haha, you're low to the ground, but I'm going to counterplay you with my basically effectively counter poke. But however, the problem you can run into is something like this. Like, I correctly got you, right? Like, I did the right thing, but I'm out of range. But now if you add the dash cancels, hey, wouldn't you know it? Look at that, right? Even if it was just barely, I still caught him. Versus before, no dice, I'm going to miss, right? But with the dash cancel, canceling the dash cancel into Behemoth Typhoon, I can now get it. It's an option available to me that wasn't really available before. So I can be much more confident and assured in counter poke situations using this technique that I'll get my actual hits versus just the kick and nothing else. So that's fantastic. This is a big deal for Goldlewis for sure. Not the least of which is, you know, you can just like do the gimmicks and all the usual stuff, right? But for his pressure being pushed out on faultless defenses, getting certain whiff punishes now much more reliably, this is all a big win for him across the board. Another very huge change for Goldlewis is how the Thunderbird now works, specifically in the corner. So before in the corner, it would just kind of go its merry own way, right? Like, it would just fly at the exact same velocity as it would mid-screen, into the corner and out of the corner and off screen. So if, say, for whatever reason, you did it, and, you know, they jumped out, that was it. But now, it stays in the corner. You don't just jump, and the problem's gone out of sight, out of mind. More to the point, if you were to try and attempt something like that now, like, I could air throw you directly into it. And depending on the angle you hit it at, I could also get potentially a full combo. The fact that it stays in the corner is such a big deal. Like, just a couple more examples. How about this example here? Like, I'm going to throw you. And when you know it, now I'm going to throw you again. And slam your ass through the wall, right? The second throw, the drone will hold you in place while it's hitting you, and I can get additional combo follow-up hits. And due to how all this works, if you try to hit me out of it, the thing still goes off in your face, and then I'll hit you and combo you. If you tech the throw, sure, you tech, and then you have to immediately block, at which point I can run and do whatever. And if you try to jump, well, then, you know, if I catch you, I can air throw you right back into it, right? So that's just a very easy, basic example, right? But that's a very strong one. Another one, right? Like, I can just toss the thing here, and it's guaranteed you're going to have to wake up into it. And from which point, okay, well, then now it's time to guess, you know, I can go low, or I can do the old overhead. And these shenanigans are also better now, as we talked about in the previous section with your dash canceling, right? So even if they try to faultless defense their way out of it, you can still enforce the 50-50. That's great. And just little things now, like if it hits just anywhere, it'll now always get all of its hits in, regardless of how much distance it traveled. Like before, it can hit situations where like it'll get a singular hit in, and then time would run out, which is not helpful, right? So now it's just better at like basically just doing its job, right? You'll pretty much always get all three hits in as long as they're there to be hit. Like right there, that before, impossible. Never could have happened. Now it can. Granted, don't expect a situation like that to exactly happen all the time, but basically every time it hits at least one hit, it resets the timer for the most part. So that is very, very helpful. But yeah, like here's your pressure tool, right? This is meant to be the pressure tool. And now the pressure tool is actually pretty good pressure, right? Like being in the corner is generally, ideally, the worst situation you could ever be in. And now it's actually more scary. It's good. It's definitely very helpful. Goldlewis can either enforce mix-ups or gimmicks or whatever, and it's all thanks to the fact it stays in the corner and actually tries to do its job now versus how it was before. And besides those, and those are like two of the really big ones, but besides those, just a lot of little things, like just stuff like instant air dash D. You don't really think much of it. And if you don't know Goldlewis, like that would not seem like a big deal, but this would just not work before the patch, right? Because due to the older startup, you would just like begin the beginning of the move, and then it would just whiff. Like you would hit the ground without actually accomplishing the move. Now it actually works. And when you know it, Jump D is one of his better moves. It's actually, despite Goldlewis being kind of it's one of the best jumps in the game, right? Now it's faster too. Jump kick and the jump dust is a natural combo, which is Great for such a variety of reasons. Even on the most basic level of like, hey, double overhead, right? And into like whatever combo, that's great. Just jump D being better makes Goldlewis better. Like, it's really as simple as that. It's one of his best buttons, and even just the tiny amount of frames that's faster now is a world of difference. Other things too, like, let's go into our button settings here. You know how you can now set faultless defense to a button, right? That actually helps Goldlewis. Like, I know that sounds weird, but like, bear with me here. So now we got our faultless defense button. We're holding it, right? So now look at this. I don't got to hold two buttons like some commoner, right? I can just hold a button. Now, in case you're somehow unaware, when you faultless defense, right? Okay, down, back, sure. Like I'm crouch blocking, back, crouch, just regular blocking, right? But if you hold up, back, you don't jump when you're in faultless defense. So what does this mean? Like, well, this means certain moves for Goldlewis, like the big overhead slam, say you are, 99% of people play Goldlewis and struggle to jump, or rather do this move without jumping. Since you don't jump when you're holding up, back, you can now hold the faultless defense button while trying to do the move, and you can rest assured, since you're not jumping when you hit up, back anymore, you can get this move pretty much as you want, pretty as you please. Like, this makes this move 10 million thousand times easier. Now, yes, before the patch, no button for faultless defense. It would still work just the same, but it's a matter of holding two buttons. Like, I'm playing on stick, right? So I have to hit heavy slash with this with my pinky now, right? Like, it's a good deal more difficult for my hands versus just holding a single button. So it's something you could do before, but now it just makes it so much easier just holding a single button. Now, granted, it only really unlocks the potential of the big swing overhead neutral, but still, that's pretty good. Like, if it unlocked this guy here and you can do it whenever without just pure speed, that'd be great, but it is what it is. But still, just when you're faultless defensing, up, back does not make you jump, which means if you hold down this button, this Behemoth Typhoon becomes so much easier. And of course, like, a lot of his buttons got better. Stand S got better. Stand Heavy Slash got way better. It literally, like, doubled the range of the move. Forward Heavy Slash is better. Like, so Goldlewis is just better all around. I think legitimately, while he's not going to be a top pick, right? Like, Ramlethal still exists. So Goldlewis isn't going to be a top pick or anything, but I think this is a legitimate chance for him to move up the tier list a little bit. Not a lot, because the old memes, Secretary of Absolute Defense has no defense. For the most part, that hasn't changed. Goldlewis's defensive options are still bad. And the matches that he lost by a lot, he's still going to lose by a lot. However, for pretty much everything else, matches where he could at least breathe, even if they were bad matches, all those and above are going to get a lot better. His offense potential is higher. His pressure is higher. His ability to just gimmick you out is higher. Pretty much everything is better for Goldlewis. And this is basically the escape out of low tier. I think he'll be a solid mid-tier character now. Definitely no top tier. And I know some people think just because Goldlewis does high damage, that means somehow he's magically top tier. No, that's not how that works in this game. But Goldlewis is doing good. It was always a fear for certain characters like that are just kind of perpetually stuck languishing, right? And they would just be in that position forever. Goldlewis is on an upwards trajectory. It still might be a whiles yet, maybe another year before he hits top tier or something, right? But he's doing pretty good. And for the first time in a long time, I feel good about the future of Goldlewis. So I think that's great. Anyways, my friends, that's just a little bit of a peek at some of the things Goldlewis can do now in Season 2. And we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. And go out and play some Guilty Gear.